When you're scrolling on Twitter, you see a colorful painting and then you scroll away 3 seconds later. But when you're the one painting something colorful, you are staring at these bright colors for hours until your retina burns off. It's obvious that if you want to draw colorful paintings, it's in your best interest to color as fast as possible. So your eyes don't die. That's why when I saw Namie's art for the first time, I was in awe. So many pleasing colors to the eye, so bright and saturated, and I always wondered, how does she do it? That is, create satisfying color combinations quickly and efficiently. Well, she released a video which, while she doesn't go into the very specifics, does show us a few hints to her layer organization and process. So, let's see if we can piece together her work process. Time for some quick notes. I'll divide this into tips she herself gives and notes I made from watching the whole speed paint through. Starting with the sketch, she says she zooms out to sketch because it lets you look at the painting as a whole. With a thick brush, she does the rough sketch first, and then makes it lighter to do the line art on top. I noticed that the eyes and expressions of the characters are one of the first things that she finishes. I think doing this first helps shape the impression or mood of the piece. If you pause here, she uses a familiar grid you see a lot in photography. The character details are clustered around these intersections. She also flips the canvas, a good technique to see the errors she makes. Although the top parts of the head, bangs, and hair are lines, instead of lining the long bunches of hair right away, she switches to a thick brush to establish the flow first. As she goes, when things overlap, like the hair overlapping the line art on the torso, she erases it to make the line art cleaner. Namie says that she uses a bunch of vivid light layers for the base colors over a grayish blue color. But where do we put the line art layer? Above? Below the base colors? Is it still a normal layer? Later on in the speed paint, notice this. When she colors the base colors, they affect the line art. So if you sandwich the line art like this, turn down the opacity a little bit so it's not pure black, the vivid light layer can affect it. To make the clean gray layer, she's selecting the outside of her drawing first before inverting and filling. She's using a technique to see the selected parts in blue, rather than the regular look of the selection tool. What she's doing here is probably using Quick Mask. You've used this in Clip Studio Paint. First click on Select and then Quick Mask. Now with any tool, like your brush or paint bucket, you can paint the areas you want to select and easily see it. Now to convert this back into a selection, after you select everything you want, click Quick Mask again and done. I just discovered this when making this video and I'm so glad I learned this. It's so much easier to see if you missed any spots when selecting. Notice how she's coloring but not going beyond the gray? She probably clipped all the layers, including the line art, to the gray layer underneath for easy and clean coloring. She also probably separated the base colors onto different layers before combining so that the individual colors can be easily adjusted. She gives us the basic layout of the colors and layers she uses for the shadows and highlights. So it's confirmed gray is normal mode, base colors vivid light. But what layer mode are the highlights and shadows? Are they also vivid light or normal mode? She doesn't say. But from my experiments, it works either way. Overall, her colors look like they alternate between cool colors and warm colors. For the base, she starts with cool colors, so pink tinted skin, gray tinted brown, warm orange for both the shadows and highlights. So overall, from dark to light, her colors are warm shadows, cool base, and warm highlights again, really giving a rainbow effect. And for the details, Namie darkens the area around the shines in the hair, which makes them really pop. She says she airbrushes some places and paints on top some places, so there's probably at least one more layer on top of everything. Here you can see Namie painting over with a soft brush to add even more saturation with some orange. By adding more contrast between the warm and cool tones, it gives a colorful rainbow vibe. Attempt 1. I gotta say, the first time you use a vivid light layer, if you're like me and almost never use adjustment layers, it will be a rough time. You move the color picker on the color wheel a smidge and suddenly it's too saturated, then it's too unsaturated, then it's too bright. You need to train yourself to only move the color picker a smidge when using vivid light for these base layers. Also, I was a little confused putting in an extra vivid color layer here as the base gray layer, but the result wasn't too bad. And for any little changes in color, I'm using color balance and tone curve. But when you get the hang of it, it's not bad at all. For my second attempt, I wanted to use the overall layer organization, but add way more shadow layers to make the hair more intricate. A little tip if you like using bright colors and want to export it into a PNG, don't be a dummy and just export it using the original settings. It will dull the export. If you're on Mac, when you're ready, just click on View, Color Profile, Preview Settings, change the profile for preview to RGB Display P3, Rendering Intent Perceptual, and then File Export Single with Expression Color Auto Detect Appropriate Color Depth, Checkmark Embed ICC Profile. Let's say, hypothetically, you get really busy and you don't draw for a month and you forgot how to render. Hypothetically. Delete the extra layers. Take all the line art and move them all below the flats. Recolor the line art to be gray and clip them all to the bottom layer. One by one, change all flats to vivid layer and recolor the highlight colors. Now above the base, below the vivid light layers and line art, on a normal layer, add shadows on many layers to allow for easy recoloring. And done. I always wanted to do a study on Namie's works because I love high contrast and bright colors, but I never knew where to start. Just learning vivid light layer is so new to me. It's the wonderful color effects without making color selection messy, and it's just so good. I doubt you're watching this, but thank you, Namie, for sharing your techniques with us. I love your works. When Pepe comes out in Global, I'm pulling for her for sure. She's just so cute. Thanks for watching. See ya!